Fishing story.
Well, let's start out with this. Hi, I'm Mel.
Yeah.
Everybody calls me Mel.
Oh, Mel, okay.
And I commercial fished for 30 years. I started out in the rivers, in Quilcene and like you said, in Dungeness River. And then we went to bay fishing in little boats. And then we went purse seining. I don't know if you guys know what a purse seiner and a gill netter, the difference is. But one has a net that goes out straight, a little web, that's gill net, and the fish go in, they get stuck. The purse seine drops off a skiff, and it goes around like that and picks it up and pulls up the bottom and everything in it's yours. And that's a big boat. It takes 5 people to run it. We started purse seining in, I don't know, in 1974, right after the bolt decision. I was part of the bolt decision in Frank's Landing where it all started. I knew Billy Franks and Sid Mills and them personally very well. I watched those guys getting arrested while we were running. So we didn't get arrested too. Billy Franks was a great guy. He was the kind of guy that didn't get his hands wet a lot of times fishing, but he knew how to go and talk to the people that we didn't know how to talk to. I grew up in this reservation my whole life. I was born and raised in Paulsbo, about 2 minutes from George Lane. My mom worked downtown for Halverson's at the store in Suquamish when I was 1 year old. So I've been here forever. And what happened was with the state of Washington, before the Indians got our fish rights, the state of Washington sold 2,500 gill net licenses and over 1,500 purse seine licenses to non-native fishermen. That's 4,000 fishing boats in Puget Sound from Tacoma to the San Juan Islands. And so when we got our rights for 50% of those fish, it was impossible with all the tribes that have rights to fish from Nisqually to Nia Bay. We might have been 50 boats strong. So that's where the war began, because we were getting 6 days a week and they were getting 1, and they were used to having it all. And there was no way we could catch even 50% of the fish without a small fleet. And so the state of Washington scrambled to try to buy back those licenses. They had a buyback program, and nobody wanted to sell them back because they figured that they would still get all the fish somehow. So there was just like New Orleans, where you see a long time ago where there was a black bar and a white bar, and white people did not go in the black bar and black people didn't go in the white bar. It was exactly that way here. There was native bar and there was white bar, and we did not go to the native bar or to the white bar ever. That's where my friend made a fatal mistake. And so it was really hard, and it was really scary, and we got shot at, and we had all the good basics, but finally our fleets started getting larger, and so it was giving them a couple more days, you know, and they did sell a lot of their licenses back. Because when El Nino came through, this El Nino they talked about, that's a warm current, it really took our fish, our sockeye from this away. They do not like warm water. And they went around Vancouver Island and don't come in Washington waters no more. And that was the money fish. And it was really sad. In 1994, we caught tuna, mackerel. There was a gigantic turtle caught by cousin Gary Williams, her fiance's uncle, my daughter there. And there was all sorts of weird fish, you know. Willie Pratt, one of the fishermen here, he got on his CB and says, I got a whole bunch of something. He had no idea what they were. They were mackerel. But I hope someday that, you know, my kids are able to see the cold current and the sockeye return. And chum, you can't kill a chum.
So, Mel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Melody Mel, a.k.a. George. I was a commercial fisherman for 30 years. I'm a mom of 5, a grandma of 15, clam digger for the same amount, actually a little bit longer. I weave cedar now, and happy to do it.
Can you tell me a little bit about the fishing rights?
When we got them, and the bolt decision went down, and you know the year, I'm not even positive the years. I'm getting old. When the bolt decision, how the bolt decision came about is a group of friends of ours from Frank's Landing, which are Nisqually natives, got together and fished and got arrested and fished and got arrested and fished and got arrested. And until it finally made it to Supreme Court, and Judge Bolt gave the Indians 50% of the salmon in Puget Sound, which was yours in the first place and is according to the treaties. In 1856, when the Point Elliott Treaty was written, it gave you the salmon, the clams, and all of it. But the state of Washington didn't want to let you know that until these guys got arrested so many times that, and Judge Bolt read the treaty and agreed they can give them 50% of the fish.
Were you fishing at the time?
I was fishing. Yeah, we were all fishing, but we weren't really fishing because we didn't have the legal right, I guess you'd call it, to fish. When we did get the right to fish, when the Bolt decision went down, we were purse seining at the time in the San Juan Islands. And it was a real bad war. It was a terrible war because there was a very few native fishermen compared to 4,000 non-native fishermen. And they were really mad.
How did they treat you, you and your friends?
Well, I'm adopted, so I am technically white, I guess. But I lived on the res all my life, and I was treated just like an Indian and was treated horribly. There was Indian bars and there was white bars. There was places, white stores and Indian stores. And we didn't go in their area and they didn't come in our area. And it was all about fish.
Did you ever lose anybody during the fight?
Yes, my best friend got murdered and thrown off the dock in Anacortes, and 2 years after the Bolt decision went down. She lived in Anacortes. The reason they were so mad, they had the millions of dollars industry all to themselves, and now they went from making, each individual making $1 million a year to maybe making $20,000 a year, and they weren't happy with that. And so we got shot at, Chris got murdered, and they never found out who did it, and it was just... So you had to really watch your back. You never went anywhere by yourself. You always stayed in groups. You know, we tried not to get in the line of fire. You know, we were outnumbered anywhere we went. But as long as we stayed in a group, we weren't afraid.
Did you know Billy Frank?
Yes, I did, very well. Knew his son too, Sugar, we called him. And Billy Frank, I knew his mom and dad. They were great, just the most awesome elders you would ever want to meet. They were just cool people, just simple people. People who got the fish out of the river, they'd eat it, they'd smoke it, they'd can it, they'd freeze it, they'd do whatever they needed to do to get through the winter with that fish come up that river without any problems, until all of a sudden they couldn't have no fish, and they never did understand that. You know, and so Billy Franks, he was not such a hands-on fisherman sort of guy as the rest of us were, but he was a great talker, and he went straight to the Capitol and straight to Washington, D.C., and he went to everyone and explained how his mom and dad couldn't have the fish that were in their front yard, because they lived right there, to eat when they were hungry. And, you know, made a simple point. And got a long ways with it. Very proud of Billy Franks and what he did and what he accomplished for all of you guys, you know, and all of us.
Were you fishing before the rights got settled?
No. Well, yeah, kind of. We fished, but we couldn't, you know, let anybody know. We sold fish under the table. We didn't have no legal right to fish. but technically no.
Where were you at the time during the vote decision?
Where was I? We lived here in Suquamish, but we went down to Frank's Landing all the time because we were part of the Native American church, and so we'd go down there every other weekend or so. And when I am still a member of the American Indian Movement. I'm proud to be of it, and we were all sticking together as far as when the Frank's Landing boys started getting arrested right and left, and they started bringing in the cops with all of their gear and everything. We all went down. Everybody supported everybody. You're better in numbers than you are by yourself, and always remember that, because it's very true. It's true, because there's still prejudice. There will probably always be prejudice. And there was no native cops in those days. There was none. So you didn't have a chance. I know one year when we were up in the San Juan Islands fishing, they busted these Taiwanese drift netters. They had 2 miles of net way up between Japan and us out in the middle there. And there was no fish coming down the straits. There was no fish at all. We couldn't figure it out. Well, look at the date and everything. And where are these fish? They busted those Taiwanese guys fishing, and it was 3 days later, and we just got slammed with fish. They literally were stopping at a huge run with those 2 miles. And now the Coast Guard's on it. They'll never get away with that kind of stuff anymore. But I don't understand what happened to the silvers. Thank you very much. This was fun.